Hey everyone, my name is Jessica and I'm a certified personal trainer and owner of Fitnessing by Jessica, which is an online personal training service where I offer customized personal training options. In today's video, I wanted to go over self-myofascial release or foam rolling with y'all. What is self-myofascial releasing or foam rolling? So what it is a technique that we use for recovery that helps to break up the fascia that's inside our muscles from exercising. So what is fascia? Fascia is basically connective tissue within our muscles that's soft and fibrous. So when we exercise or we work out or we do some sort of activity that our body is not necessarily used to, our body is going to adapt to it. When we go through those adaptations, our muscles, as if this is our muscles, go and create little micro tears within the muscles. Then when the muscles are repairing, they repair by building more fascia on top of each other. And instead of them coming back together, they actually end up overlapping and they create kind of almost like a lump within the muscles. So those lumps can be kind of tender and painful, and that's where we feel tightness or soreness in our muscles after we do some sort of activity. So by breaking up that fascia, what we're doing is we're increasing the blood flow to that area, and that helps with a faster recovery period. So why is foam rolling so important? Not only does it relieve the muscle tightness that is happening in our body from the little micro tears that we're creating, it also helps to relieve soreness and inflammation, as well as increasing your range of motion. All of these are super beneficial when it comes to running or exercising or lots of daily activities of life. And it can help us move better, move more efficiently, easier, things of that sort. Foam rolling is really popular within runners because we are constantly putting and creating those micro tears in our body every time we run. So I have a few options here for foam rolling or self-myofascial releasing. We have just a standard foam roller. Now, foam rollers come in a bunch of different sizes, density, shape, how hard or how soft they are. If you're new to foam rolling or just starting out, you want to go with a softer foam roller and then gradually increase how dense the foam roller is. Now, this one I have had for years and I've never moved up from it because it works for me. Just as with all exercising, you have to do what is right for your body. So if you're not feeling it with just like a standard foam roller, you can increase the density. They do have options of maybe more different textures on the foam rollers, harder foam rollers. There's foam rollers that vibrate, so they massage the tissue as well as that movement of rolling out the fascia. Along the lines of foam rolling, you can also get one of these sticks. They're a little bit smaller, and what's nice about them is that they can kind of work deeper and work more in a specific area. So if the area that you're trying to foam roll out is kind of smaller or maybe in an area where you can't put a lot of pressure on it, using one of these sticks, this one is specifically as a tiger tail, can help kind of get really into it and get into those smaller areas. So I like to use my tiger tail on my calves. So I usually start from the top and then roll down the leg. And as I'm rolling down the leg, I'm switching where it is to find where any sore points might be. So if I go along my calf and I find a sore point, specifically right here, I'm gonna stop on it and I am going to push down and make small movements. And then as it starts to release, I gradually increase how far down and up I'm going on that spot. So there's a tight spot right here. I'm going to start small movements and then gradually increase that range from there. Now, where I like to use these bigger foam rollers are actually along the sides of my legs and on my hamstrings. So kind of more of that IT band area and then in the hamstrings. So for hamstring rolling, I start in the middle of my legs. You're going to bring yourself up. You can always rest your heels on the floor or bring them up. The idea is that you want to put as much pressure as possible on that spot to kind of help release and break up the fascia. So whichever one is the most comfortable. You can do one leg at a time or both legs at the same time. Whichever one is maybe a little more comfortable for you. So we're going to start mid-leg and we're going to roll back and forth, seeing if I can find any sort of spot that might be a little bit more tender. And it looks like I'm in good shape here in my hamstrings right now. So just by going back and forth, I'm massaging that tissue, breaking up anything that might not necessarily be big enough to cause a lot of tenderness, but still breaking it up, increasing that range of motion. So next we're going to think about pinpointing that area along the side of the leg. So the IT band area, I find it best to bring my leg that I'm not foam rolling across kind of into a right angle and have the other one straight off of the ground, not touching the ground. So we're going to start and roll back and forth and find any spots of tenderness. So I have one right here. So I'm going to start with small movements back and forth. And then as it begins to release, I'm going to make that movement just a little bit bigger and kind of roll along my leg as well, because it's not in specifically one spot. It is in more of a full side than tiny part of the side. So you can also foam roll your quads. I'm actually going to use the little heavier duty one here. You're going to come onto your stomach and just same deal of rolling back and forth, finding any tender spot. So I have a little bit more tenderness up here towards my hip flexors. And start with small movements and then gradually increase that movement. So some people will use the foam rollers on their hips as well. I have found that it's not the best for me personally, that using something a little bit smaller is going to work out my glutes just a little bit better. So if you want, you can always use a foam roller kind of on your hips. Same method, just sitting on it and finding those sore spots, tender spots, and rolling them out, starting small and then gradually getting bigger in that movement. Part of the reason why it's a little bit more beneficial to use something smaller on your glutes is because naturally as humans, we carry fat in those areas. So you have to kind of get through that fat to get to the muscles and to break up that fascia. So that's the reason why I like using balls instead. So we have right here, this one's called the Orb. It's a larger, more foam type ball that you can use, as well as you can use a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball or even as small as a golf ball to kind of really get deep into that tissue. Now the difference between using a ball and using a foam roller is that instead of going back and forth like you do on the foam roller, you actually want to do a rolling circle action with the ball. So instead of just going like this, you're going to bring it around in a circle. So same concept. You're going to work around in a circle, finding any tender spots, stop on the tender spot and make small circles and then increase that range as you're breaking it up. You also want to go, so right here I'm going clockwise, And then you'll want to switch it up and go counterclockwise as well to kind of continue to break up all of that area. So a standard issue with runners is what I call an angry piriformis. So that is a small, tiny muscle that lays almost behind your glutes in your hips that gets a lot of use when you're running or any sort of back and forth movement that's happening within your legs. And it very easily can become inflamed just from an evolutionary standpoint that we're not using it as much anymore. So using a lacrosse ball is really great for kind of getting that deep kind of tightness that is there. So you just sit on the ball, find that area that might be tight, and then gradually roll it out. Now you can also foam roll on your shoulders or on your upper back area as well. So lats are a really popular area to be foam rolled, especially within the CrossFit community, because we use them so much. They use them so much. So what you're going to do is you're going to start about mid-back, come up on your knees, find that tight spot. You're going to do one side at a time. So you're going to come and roll onto the side, finding that area that is tight, making small movements, and then increasing that range from there. You can do the same deal with the balls as well. I like to use, because my back is smaller as a woman, I like to use the lacrosse ball, finding any point that might be an area of contention on my body, which is usually within my shoulder blades, and finding that really tight spot, that area that is tender, and then gradually rolling it out. So I get a lot of tightness in my traps, especially on my right side. So just rolling it back and forth and releasing it from there. So I hope this video helped you all figure out how to foam roll, help you figure out where to start and how to go from there. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And I will also link my social media handles as well as my website in case you're interested in personal training. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Bye.